Let's see if I get the echo.
Mhm. Can you hear background noise in my house?
Can you hear
Oh, good.
Antana? I can't hear. I can't have that. Okay.
Okay, good. Good.
I know I'm not hearing anything.
Beautiful.
Okay, here we go. I see myself on YouTube.
Yeah, I can see you. Okay.
All right. All right, here we go. We're getting ready to record.
You
I just,
can see me.
yeah, I see myself on YouTube, but I just want to get rid of the mic so that uh okay. I didn't want to stop it. I wanted to play, but okay, I just don't want it. Okay. All right, here we go. Let me get it on record. Okay, record and play. Hello, hello, hello again, everyone. Happy to see you. Happy to see you. Hopefully, thanks for joining us. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Renee Zachary from North Carolina. We're here in Grandmom's Room, the place where grandmoms who are raising their children can come and learn some information, gain some insight for things going on as they're raising their grandchildren. And we talk every week about certain things that are going on. And this week we're going to focus on how do we deal with our bio kids? How do we deal with the children who are supposed to be raising their children, and we are, because it becomes a whole host of problems and issues around that. And we're going to talk about that. The title of this podcast is called "Parenting the Parents When Our Children Can't Parent Their Own." Parenting the parents when our children can't parent their own. And so I'm really going to dive deep into that today. I'm Dr. Mitchell, as I said, Dr. Yvette Mitchell, and I'm so happy to welcome you. We're here with my beautiful co-host, Renee Zachary out of North Carolina. And we have some things in common. She's raising her grandchildren. I've raised my granddaughter and now raising two adopted children as well. So let's kind of talk. Parenting the parents. Uh, the first point we're going to take is acknowledging the pain and the complexity. The heartbreak of watching your child struggle with issues like addiction, incarceration, mental illness, or simply being unable or unwilling to parent their own children. The dual role of being a caregiver to your grandchildren while still being a parent to your own child, and how that can strain a relationship. So she's shaking her head. So I know what she is saying. And the reality of the grieving process, that actually mourning the relationship or the dreams you once had for your own child. So we did have that's a reality. I'm going to go back 28 years now, no, 29 years. Alicia's 29 years old. Um, and it was a painful situation when he called me and told me that they were giving away his only girl, and he wasn't able to come and get her because he was in a challenging marriage at the particular time. And so it was very hurtful to me. I mean, I stepped up as a grandmother would, but I'm like, oh, that didn't feel good. And in reality, I was disappointed because I'm not expecting to raise my grandchildren. I'm not expecting that my son is going to call me and he couldn't take his child. I'm not expecting him to have a relation with someone who wouldn't want her child. And it's a grieving process. It's, my son for a while was struggling with, upon his problem in his marriage, he was struggling with alcoholism. And so all that grieving, because he was a brilliant child, is a brilliant, thank God now. He's a brilliant grown man of 50, almost he is 54 years old. He's a smart kid, always been smart. And I really didn't have any problems with him until very late in teen years. And when that happened, after I said, okay, enough is enough, he decided, which was wise of him, to join the service and went on in the Navy. So, but pretty much my children didn't give me a problem in teenagehood. So I was surprised by it when it actually happened. And so disappointed, gee, that you can't take care of your stuff. And here I am, got to go see about this baby. And what did the baby have to do with anything? So here's an innocent child. So it is a real grieving process. Renee, share your experience with that process, that first learning that you were going to have.
Uh, as I said before, that my son calls me. I guess him and the young lady was having an argument, and he's like, "Mom, hey, if he said if she don't want it, you gonna take the baby or something along that line." I'm like, "Oh boy, yeah," not thinking he's for real. And he's 35 years old at this time, and how your first child, and how could you not want to take care of your own? I'm thinking this is a beautiful experience. It's my first grand, my only grand. And how could you not want to take care of a baby? And I didn't want her, and she was threatening with, I'm gonna get an abortion. Well, I didn't want that to happen, also. So I feel like I'm in a situation where I have to step up, and this child is not even here yet. As a matter of fact, it was supposed to be twins.
Mm.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Exactly. But then the other side of me was so excited that I wanted to do all I can, just waiting for this bundle of joy and everything. And I actually wasn't pregnant, but I went through the whole thing with them, I gave my own self a baby shower by myself, went shopping, bought everything. It's almost like hindsight that this kid is really going to be yours. And was there for the birth of the baby in the room. She didn't want to look at the baby. She didn't want to hold the baby. The nurses is telling her, honey, you got to hold your baby. And I'm telling her, hold the baby. I mean, within a few weeks, she was already saying when I'm coming back to Philly, New Jersey. And I'm like, I just saw the baby. I'm trying to be grandma. No, she didn't want that to happen. She wanted me to have the baby. And before you know it, it's 6 months that I actually have my grandchild. And I'm disappointed with both of them. Y'all bring this precious life into the world, and y'all really don't have or feel that you don't have no responsibility in actually taking care of your own kid. And it's almost like, don't worry, my mom will do it. And what's funny about that is her mom actually was taking care of her other three. So that should have been a morning then, but it was just weird that I felt like I had no choice but to step up because
I'm sorry, there is a sense of disappointment that you
yeah,
share. It's like this is not what you expected from your children.
not
You
an old
expect
one.
them to be, and then his first child. And in my
35
case,
years old?
and as you said, 35, and gosh, that should have been a monumental
Yeah.
experience for him, and how he was able to, and she was able to just casually say, take this baby like a piece of meat. Here,
It's,
why don't you have the steak or whatever?
yeah.
I don't want a steak. And it was amazing to me. I mean, I could see that my son wanted his child, but you put yourself and this child in a situation where she's not going to be with her parents
Yeah.
and not considering anybody else but themselves. And that's the reality.
Right.
That's when the real deal of what your children are about really show themselves. And it's surprising because you like, is this my child?
Yes.
What? Is this my child? Really? that's not what I raised, or that's not what I thought I raised.
Exactly. I, to be honest with you, I was so in shock. One, of his behavior, two, the way he acted in the hospital. I mean, I'm like, who is this person? It was a total stranger that I was looking at, and for him not to care. And then as time went on, my baby is 6 now, and still no contact.
Mm,
No contact from the mother or the father.
wow.
And that's so hurtful.
Wow.
And I was telling you earlier, uh, I'm at an age now where I'm supposed to be free and can go wherever I want and do whatever I want. And I can't because I got to stop and say, oh, I need a babysitter. Huh? I need a babysitter.
Yeah.
Who's going to help me with my grandbaby?
Yeah.
You know,
And
and I'm missing out on the supposedly the retirement party fun I should be having at this time because I did my part, but no, I can't.
you thought you did your part. And we're gonna talk about that because is there a sense of guilt that you felt? What did I do wrong? What
Yeah,
what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? Until you come to acknowledge the fact that they're grown. They are making their own decisions, and this is not something that you did.
right.
And that's a struggle because at first, even thank God I was in the position to do that, but still, it was a struggle because this is your responsibility, not mine.
Exactly.
And taking care of a child for 18 years is a big social, emotional, physical, financial, every other way.
And I told them, I said, I
Responsibility.
give y'all 5 years. That was the number I gave them. I give y'all 5 years for y'all to get it together. And nope, it seemed like it just went down slow, just downhill.
Because once they found out you could do it, they were
Yeah,
scot free.
yes, yes,
It
yes.
was scot free. And as she said, she
Mhm.
doesn't have her other children. So it says all that she needs to, it says all that she needs to say. She was not willing to be
Mhm.
a parent. She didn't want to. She wanted, well, and I think that's so stupid because today you don't have to get pregnant. There's so many things out here to keep you from being pregnant. So when you get pregnant, you're just being sloppy and stupid.
Right.
And you're just impacting another life without any regard for anybody else but you. Because
Mhm.
if you were really concerned and really considerate, you would say, I don't want to bring a life in here that I don't want to take care of. So let me take care of myself
Mhm.
so that that does not happen. I mean, it's a pill or a shot. Really?
Yeah.
It's really just that simple. And you can't do that. It shows total irresponsibility. It shows total disregard for anybody. They're just selfish. And
Yeah.
that's an acknowledgement. It's selfish. I don't want to do it. I want to stay a kid.
Right.
I want to be a grown-up person, but I want to act like a child.
And that also goes to the point where everyone's so free uh, to mess around, have sex with one that does not know who you're sleeping with,
Right.
and then you bring a life into the world, and then y'all realize, oops, I made a mistake. You know, you're
Right.
not fun. You
No,
know, and it's sad because now
it
the
is.
child gets to suffer because he's coming into the world without parents that gives a darn.
And even if you do everything as I did with Alicia,
Mm-hmm.
she still turned out really, really angry.
Yeah.
Angry. She's angry even right now. She's 30, almost 30 years old, and still angry with the world because she did not, nobody did anything to her. She lived, you and I both know she lived a princess life.
Yeah. Huh.
I did everything humanly possible to
Mm-hmm.
try to help her to be strong enough uh, to go over the hurdle. But still, she had this sense of, why wasn't I good enough to be with my parents? So that's a reality that your children is going to face.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, Georgie, even though he had autism, those are thoughts he's going to, when he gets old enough, he is going to have to face those those issues, and hopefully he can face them with dignity. Because I with
Mm-hmm.
Alicia, I said, listen, I never met my biological father, never met him. I was adopted by my mother's second husband, and that was daddy, and that was the end of the story. So it never, I really never had, excuse me, any head problems
Mhm.
with not meeting my biological father. It was just not, I mean, it might have some sisters and brothers out there, ancestors and but it didn't bother me. It really didn't bother me. And as I said, my mother said I said at 2 years old, well, if you don't want to see me, I don't want to see him either. So that I'm thankful for that because that's never changed in me. I never had a problem with that. Oh, I really belong to so. Oh, why didn't he want to see? No.
Right. Right.
No. That was a total to me. That would be a total waste of time. I think God brought me here for a reason. I'm going to live the best life that I can, and that's just it.
Right.
And who wants to be in my life, that's wonderful, and who doesn't, that's okay too. So, but it takes a healthy mind to be able to get to that point. But even as a young kid, it never bothered me. So we have to acknowledge it was painful and it was a grieving process because we thinking our child is one thing and our child is a whole different other person. They'll be like, who, what, really? Mm. And especially had with my son when you had the time that he was going through alcoholism for no reason. He had a good upbringing,
Mhm.
uh, brought up in a nice house. There wasn't alcoholism in the family and in my household because that's not what I lived like. I wasn't a partier. He wasn't all kinds of nights and stuff, hanging out. We didn't do any of that, and yet that's what he chose for a good part.
And that's so amazing because I don't drink, smoke, or do any of those things. And it's so weird. Even my husband don't do any of those things. And for him to choose that, I think my son didn't get stupid until 35. I mean, he was a hard worker. He bought his own home, and he's paying taxes on the house. He gets this age and becomes stupid.
Mhm.
I mean, I was like, who is this person? And now it's like he don't even have a place. He's not working. He's not living in his home. And it's crazy. And it's like, I don't know. I don't, did he have a breakdown? What's going on? Chose to do alcohol, chose to do drugs. Why you get this old to be stupid?
Mm,
You know,
mm. And even though your heart wants to rescue him and you really do try
yeah,
that for a moment or
I
two and
did.
then you
I did.
realize
Did.
then you realize that's not
You have to,
working either
yeah,
and because now you become a crutch
yeah, yeah.
and you have to let them bleed until they decide they don't want to bleed anymore. And that's what happened to my son. And I'm so thankful at 54 years old. Finally, it took him till he was in his 40s, but finally he is just doing, he is flying like I would expect my son to do.
What bothers me more is that he's not talking to me. I feel like the baby mama. You know how the baby mama goes through that drama of they don't want to pay child support or they don't want
Right,
to see their own kids.
right.
What you doing this for? Come to see your kid. Y'all need diapers or he needs this or that. Check on us. Check on me. See how I'm doing.
Yeah,
You know, it's like who is he?
yeah. You just have to come to an uh was that come to an understanding that
Yeah.
he's who he's going to be and you can't do anything about that till he makes a decision. But you won't be a mop. You won't be nobody's mop or dish rag or whatever they think that you might be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our next topic is setting healthy boundaries. When you see that it's not changing and he might just be using you, then you got to know when to pull
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
You got to know when to pull back because if you don't, um, that process will just continue on and you will find yourself really miserable. And,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing is that you would think your children would think, oh, gee, that's my mom. I really got to do ABC. And that thought doesn't seem to process. And in fact, I've even had the situation is like, well, you owe me because I'm breathing.
Yeah.
You owe me because I'm breathing. And it's, partly your fault because I'm this way,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell parents all the time, when you have done the best you can, and I know I did with my kids, I have zero guilt. whatever you think you did for whatever reason you were problems or conflicts or whatever you had with me, because I know the kind of life I lived. I know the kind of example I set. So therefore, I have zero guilt. If you chose that life, that's because you chose it.
Yeah. Because
So
our
then,
rule in our house was I don't do jails and I don't do drugs. And you're not bringing that in my home. And if you go to jail, you're on your own. But
right,
okay, you got me for the first year of me sending stuff. And I'm like, oh no, what am I doing? I'm breaking my own rule. No, you on
right,
your own. No,
right,
I'm done with that. Because
right.
you went again? Oh no. We done with
Okay,
that part.
okay,
Mhm.
yep, yep. And so our next topic area is how do you set those healthy boundaries? Um, how do you say no without guilt? And importance of consistency in protecting your grandchildren's emotional safety and protecting your own, because they can guilt you to death.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
can truly guilt you to death. And I just want to go down here where some healthy points are. Okay. And what are they, some of the things that they're pointing out here, and this is from the American Psychological Society, says your adult child may be emotionally blaming or manipulative. So you need not to match that energy when they get on that. Well, the reason I'm like this is because of you. And you start really thinking that for a moment. You
Mhm.
really do kind of chime in. Well, maybe I didn't do something. What is it you didn't
Spoiled
do?
him. Yeah, I spoiled him.
And so, yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
I know that I gave you the kind of life. No, this is a choice you made.
Right.
So it says just pause and sometimes take a breath and just breathe before you respond to him, because
Mhm.
that's a trigger. And sometimes they'll trigger you. They blame you for something, and that triggers you. Like you said, you you fed into him for a year, and then you had to realize, no, that's not me. No, this is not going to happen. No, you're not going to get better, and I need to
Yeah.
stop doing this.
Well, you used to tell me, Mom, I ain't got no money. I can't eat. Like, what? I need some food because you couldn't cash at me. And I was doing it. And then I say, wait a minute. How am I taking care of his child
And you cash apping him,
and I'm cash apping him?
right?
And I'm like, no. It came to a point where, and then he would come up with all kinds of lies. I'm going to pay it back to you. I'm going to give it to you. Remember when I gave you? When you gave me, it was because it's your kid. So it's at this point, it's like, I don't even want him to call me with the foolishness. So you do kind of have to play that, what's it called, tough love or something.
Tough love. And it's
Yeah.
not tough, it's just really protecting yourself. It's being
Yes.
clear, and it's protecting your baby.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
protecting the baby. It's not even tough love.
Mm.
It's requiring him to be an adult,
Right. Right.
requiring him to be an adult. And um, that's only fair. That's only fair because he shouldn't be at 30 some years old. He shouldn't be coming to you to eat.
Right.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And
Okay.
you know what? That hurt me to my heart. Not
Yeah.
because that he allowed himself to be in that position.
And you just said it. He allowed himself. If you are grown and responsible, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't. I have been up and down and over, around, down at the bottom, up at the top. I've been every place, but I have always have found a way to feed myself and my children.
Yes, you do. Yes.
So, no. And you one person,
Yes. Yeah.
you one person, tough. I
Yeah.
suggest you go to the soup kitchen. And that's
Yes.
and it's funny because I think it hardened my heart a little bit when I see young men or young women on the corner. I'm
Right.
like, I will tell you where you go to get a food, but I'm not giving you money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not doing it
Right.
because you look young enough to be and healthy enough to be out here working. So where you are in life is what you
Right.
do.
Yeah.
So it's not fair because some people have, I have a heart for them. I don't want them anything bad to happen to you.
Right.
But I think if I see you out here every day, that's because that's what you're using every day instead of going and making a difference in your life. I wouldn't care if I gave you something and you went and did something and changed your life. But if you walk in this path, this boulevard every day, there's something wrong with that picture.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you, so then I'm like, no, I'm not giving you anything.
Mhm.
If I have a bottle of water, I might give you that. One of the things it says that to be very clear and very direct, say what you mean with love, but without sugarcoating.
Mhm.
Mixed messages confuse and enable. So you need to make sure that you're very clear. And we do have mixed messages because as we see, if our baby is telling us we're hungry, our spirit is hurting. So we don't want our baby to be hungry. We don't want, but you got a phone to for call me the cash app. You must have some kind of money to get the phone on.
Yeah,
Think about that.
yeah.
I'm always
I
amazed.
do. I do.
I'm
Mhm.
always amazed. Again, I see them walking up and down the boulevard, and you're saying homeless, but you got your phone. You talking on the phone.
Right.
So how? What is it?
You
So
got
some,
something going on.
so something. Yeah, you had something. But say what you mean, and I ain't never had a problem with that. Use reflective listening. What I hear you saying, just repeat back to them
Right.
to help validate their feelings without agreeing to toxic behavior. If their behavior is not correct, I mean, you got to shut it down.
And
Don't argue. Hmm?
I was going to say, because of that behavior, frightens me to the point where, shucks, I don't want him to take care of his child. You ain't got enough sense to take care of yourself, let alone
Exactly.
your own kid.
Right.
And so that's the heartening part too. It's like I don't see
Any
how
growth.
no growth and or the opportunity to have my life back
Mm.
because
And
I'm
that's the reality.
yeah, because I'm looking at what 18 years and hope it's going to probably be longer for me because he is suffering with autism and depending on how he go about his life, who knows how long I could be in this, you
Right.
know?
Right. So what you
It's
have to do with that is find happiness through it.
right.
Find
That's why I
happiness
go
through it.
out. Yeah.
Huh?
That's why I take my little vacations.
You take
Yeah.
your little vacations, you find childcare for him, and sometimes you take him with you, sometimes you don't.
Right. Exactly.
And but find happiness and keep an attitude of happiness. That's what I do. I tell people, look,
Hmm.
I don't care who you are. I'm going to be happy.
Hmm.
I'm going to make a commitment to myself to be happy all the time.
Hmm.
And be happy because I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to look like this at 75.
Hmm.
Blessed to be able to move around,
Hmm.
blessed to be able to have all my brain cells together,
Yes.
blessed to still be in school, be able to be in school at a doctorate level.
Right.
That's a lot. A lot of people at 75 not doing that kind of stuff. So I feel blessed and happy.
Right.
And I also feel that my child, I have my two adopted babies, have not come to me by accident.
Hmm.
God has a plan for your life. And he selected you, especially you. Thank you, God. We need to have a conversation though. Okay. To take care of that spirit. Okay. Even though you have to, as I said, sometimes I have to have a good personal conversation with God and say, "You sure about this?
No.
Let's talk. Let's have a powwow."
Right.
Because
Right.
you can't have meant for this to happen, but
Hmm.
he did. And
Right.
yes, because he knew. I mean, because our babies, if you think about it, where if you think of possible other scenarios he could be
Yeah. Yeah. That's what keeps
in.
me going.
Yes.
That seriously keeps me going. Nobody can put up with my baby the way I put up with my baby. Nobody understand my baby the way I understand my baby.
Okay. There
You
you go.
know, and what else? You know what I'm saying? He needs me and I need him.
And actually, that's what started happening. he is a blessing to you. He actually becomes a blessing to you as much as you are a blessing
Right.
to to him.
Mm.
And that's a wonderful place to be. And that's a feeling good, and it helps with the process of you dealing with the older kids. Let's see what else they did. Don't argue about the past. Some of the kids try to uh, blame you or acknowledge it when needed, but keep the focus on the present. In other words, don't talk about what he used to do or who he used to do, or don't let him talk about it, because where he is has nothing to do with you and the bad. It has something to do with him. Okay, make sure it's Khadijah. Oh, okay. All right. So, okay. The next point that they want me to make here is, let's see. Oh, know when to shut it down. Know when to shut the situation down. I mean, your
Mhm.
son goes on, and it might even become toxic. They start to get argumentative. Just know when to, okay, I see we're not getting anywhere. I'll talk to you another day when you
Mhm.
are thinking clearer. Has that happened?
Oh yes, it has. Um, he used to call me not about the baby, but about how the relationship went wrong. Him and the girl not taking responsibility for his actions. And I had to always constantly remind him, you don't see your faults. And I got to the point where it's like, don't call me with
Mm,
the foolishness. I done had enough. You're not calling me. If you're not calling me about the baby, don't call me.
okay. Okay.
So yeah, we done been there, done that. Yeah.
That's separating boundaries. I mean, that's making boundaries, and that's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
One of the things that they talked about, guilt, shame, and healing in our own inner voice. And I'm going to read this, what it says. Many grandparents carry deep emotional wounds. We blame ourselves for what went wrong with our children's lives. We wonder what we could have done differently. And we worry now repeating history with the grandchildren. So, kind of let's talk about that for a minute. They
Mhm.
have some good key points here. You didn't fail. Life is complicated. I like that statement. People make their own choices. Loving your children doesn't mean you are responsible for their mistakes.
Mhm.
And that's absolutely child. We're not responsible for their mistakes, especially if you live a decent life. You're not responsible. Parenting the second time around doesn't mean you did it wrong the first time. Okay, so just when you're going now that you're parenting Georgie and it doesn't mean I did it wrong the first time. It just means life is complicated. Anything is possible.
We have
Okay, and
experience.
shame, huh?
We have experience and we
We have
pros
it
at it.
right. Uh, sh- Sharing your story like you've done, sharing our story breaks the hold of being shameful. Because I mean, I'm sure that you felt a little shame about your son. I know that I have, and so what they're saying, sharing these stories, laughing about it, saying, seeing uh, the similarities and the differences, and recognize it helps. It helps the process. It helps us through the process of cleansing what we feel in terms of shame or whatever. Which I don't feel ashamed, but at
Mhm.
one time I know I did.
Mhm.
Like, oh, Tora, why did you have to be like, what are you doing with your life? Why are you doing this with your life? All right. Replace guilt with gratitude. Like I had said to you about being grateful that God chose us. Oh, well, lucky us. Lucky us. Uh,
Mhm.
for this to be the vessel of this child, because when we are raising children, we pour our spirit into them. And in some ways, we can even see ourselves in our children, certain moves or certain attitudes as they grow older. So all we can do, Renee, is the best that we can. Be kind to yourself. And we talked about that many times, just being kind to ourselves, so that we don't get burned out. Because I know that we can. It gets really, really tiring and you can get really burned out. And so your little trips to yourself is is important. And the final thing they says, I did the best that I could. Affirmation. an affirmation it gave us. I did the best that I could with what I had. I'm not perfect, but I am present, and that is powerful. I am present to my baby. I'm there for him. And the parent is not. This is his turn to be present, but he's not. But you are. And so that's an affirmation. I stood up, I stepped up, however I could, however I have, and then be thankful for that. And be thankful that you could. Because
Right.
where would he be?
Yeah. True.
Where would he be? Would he be with someone who understands him, or would just be angry with him and put him in a cage like he's some kind of dog or something? You know, you have heard of parents that people have foster
Yeah.
parents and adopted parents. They have children that have difficulties and just put them in cages, just lock them in their rooms.
Right.
Just we don't know where he could have been.
Mhm.
So we're going to be thankful that he's with you. Be thankful that these babies are with me, and do the best we can. Again, no guarantees, but again, we'll
Right.
do the best we can
Mhm.
and um, pray that all goes well and that God gives you the strength to see it through. And that's all we could do.
Yeah.
You agree?
I totally agree.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. When you in the, you say when you going through it, it's just a lot to deal with, especially if you're dealing with special needs. So it makes it even that much harder. But you just have to, what do you say, pull your boot straps up or whatever you say. But
Put your big girl panties on.
thank you. That's the one I love. Yeah, put your big girl panties on and just do what you have to do.
Just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Do what you have to do. And that's so, so very, very important.
Mhm.
And it is. And I'm just hoping that in the future that as I'm putting this out on YouTube, that uh, grandparents gravitate to this
Yes.
and they really come, because I know when I'm out there talking to people, I just was at
Mhm.
a meeting with a group of uh, caregivers, and they were just saying how much this kind of podcast, this kind of information is important. So they're out there, Renee, and we're going to touch them however long it takes.
Right.
We're
Exactly.
going to touch them. We're going to get there. Well,
Mhm.
we've been on for about 40 minutes, and so I'm going to cut this short tonight.
Mhm.
But because I think we really said some important stuff,
Right.
and I'm going to put it out there and hopefully get views. And next week we'll talk about something new again. So I'm going to thank everyone for listening. I hope that you will consider listening to us each week at Thursday at 8 p.m. If you have any questions, please feel free to go to my website, which is fosteringlives.org, fosteringlives.org, and you can get to our website and give you information and resources. So again, I thank you. I thank my wonderful co-host who has been my wing girl for just so many years. I just love you to death.
Mhm.
Thank you again, and we'll see you next week. God bless. And this is